This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 554 for the week of Monday, January 28th, 2019. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
And today we have a very special guest, translator for One Piece in Shonen Jump. We have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey, pretty good. It's like 76 degrees here today. Very nice.
Ed, I heard on Wednesday it's going to be negative 46 in Chicago with the wind chill.
Yeah, not really where I am. More like negative 35 with the wind chill. Yeah, I might just stay inside. I haven't decided whether or not to go outside the house. It's actually colder where Sam is.
I was going to say, we also have Anime News Network reviewer for JoJo, One Piece, My Hero when it's on.
Black Clover is running right now.
What else? Am I missing anything, Sam?
Dragon Ball Super.
Dragon Ball Super.
Which may or may not be coming back. Toei is being sneaky.
Yeah. So, Sam, how's it going?
It's going. It's cold.
Yeah. So,
as always.
We have some big news up front here. Stephen, you should be the one to deliver it since you're the one I heard it from.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be watching Twitter when Annan broke this news with an interview and everything that Shueisha, so this is not Viz, this is Shueisha, straight from Japan, has up, as of right now, a brand new English language free app that for all their Shonen Jump related properties that is it is free and it is completely worldwide aside from Japan, South Korea, and China, which I believe have their own local versions of this service. But it is basically the same. In essence, it is the same thing as what Viz's Shonen Jump app is currently offering for free. So in other words, it has, I think, the first 3 chapters of all the series that are offered, and then the latest 3 chapters on a rotating basis. And that is free. You can check them out. They use the same assets. This is called Manga Plus. That's how you can find it online. And it's on Android, it's on an iOS, and it shares. So it shares the Viz assets for everything that Viz already puts out. So if you go to this Manga Plus thing, even though it is technically a Japanese app, it's all in English, and the One Piece would be the same version that I translate that comes out on Viz's Shonen Jump service. It's exactly the same.
Translation credits on it?
Yeah, it's the same assets, the same pages and everything.
So your name is not bigger on this one.
No.
That's unfortunate, but okay.
Although I don't know, the resolution size may be different or something, but
it looks pretty good. Although there's something weird where different series they do double page spreads differently depending on the series.
The reader is slightly different. I didn't actually download the app, but there is a website as well, so you can do the browser thing too. And they don't have like a full-sized like control bar thing the way that Viz does, which means you can get the image bigger, although it also doesn't have as many options. You can scroll through it vertically, or you can scroll through it horizontally. But from what I saw, like the horizontal thing, it sort of automatically fills them in. So it did not, for example, adjust to the fact that with One Piece, the front page, the cover page is by itself on the left side, and then the next, and then you turn it, and then it's a double page spread. So yeah, the spreads get cut. It's like when you're looking at 2 pages, it was as if you were looking at both sides of the same piece of paper rather than the pages that face each other. So that didn't really work out.
I mean, that sounds like something they may fix a little more as.
I would hope so. Yeah,
hopefully.
I know on the app, like if you set it to horizontal, it works just fine. It works like the way it would work on the Shonen Jump app. Although you can't get like landscape mode at all, so you have to be looking at it 1 page at a time, no matter what.
Oh, weird. There's some differences, I think, in the experience. The other thing that this has apparently is it does have more So again, this is Shueisha. This is not Viz offering their stuff now worldwide. So there are actually more titles that they have up from Jump. I think the one that I saw people mentioning was Hinomaru Zumo, the sumo wrestling manga, which Viz is not published. And so those, I guess, I'm not sure. I didn't really look into this too much. I guess those ones were sort of done by another contractor, so it's not like the Viz staff or the stable of translators and whatnot. It's a different group of people who worked on it, so there may be a quality difference in terms of the overall product. I don't know, but they are stuff that is not currently available through Viz. So you may be asking, well, doesn't this sound like a perfect, an improved, more access, more series version over what Viz has? Why would you use Viz's app? Well, the big difference is that Viz has the subscription for, what is it, like $3 a month or $2 a month or something like that?
Yeah, just two.
That gives you the backlog. It gives you the archives where you can read everything, Netflix style, of all these series that they have. Manga Plus, the Shueisha thing, does not have that. It only has for free. It only has those, latest few chapters. And if you want anything else that's in between those, so, all the other 924 chapters of One Piece, you would have to buy the digital volumes that they have there. So that is basically the rundown of this. But yeah, it's really exciting because I think anyone who was like following this stuff online, whenever you would try to talk about it or talk about how awesome it was that Viz was doing this, new free thing for everyone, that you didn't have to, pay this fee up front, it was immediately bogged down by all the people from, Europe and from South America and, Southeast Asia that were like, hey, I can't access, why should I care about this? Like, I can't get to it. So this is kind of the solution that you were asking for. And
the great part is it's also supposed to come out in Spanish from what I saw.
Yeah. They're going to be offering a Spanish edition as well. I think that's still in the works as of right now in a couple of weeks,
yeah. But it's on the way, which is huge. Exactly. I know we have a lot of Spanish speaking listeners on this show. Good luck with our English, but that's going to be pretty amazing. That's going to reach like two of the most widely known languages, especially outside of Asia in the world. So that's a huge deal.
Yeah, and it's obviously it's all timed the exact same way that Viz's Shonen Jump is. So it unlocks on midday Sunday for American time, and then however that translates to your local time zone. But yeah,
it's I think Japanese time, it's like Monday at like 5 a.m.
5
Japanese
6,
time.
Like
so if you want to translate that to your time zone, just Google what is Monday at 5 a.m. Japanese time here or something like that. Google will figure out what you're trying to say.
Was it time and date? That's the
website. Yeah. But that is so amazing. We finally past that final hurdle. There's literally no excuse that I could think of to jump to a scanlation at this point, right? I can't think of any. I mean, I'm sure there are excuses people could think of, but not legitimate ones anymore.
Well, for instance, what if I choose to be misinformed by bad translations? That's my choice to make.
Well, you choosing to be misinformed by bad translation is also just hurting the industry when you could read the same thing for free.
And much like the concept of herd immunity, you will spread that knowledge, that bad knowledge, throughout the community whenever you talk to someone. So, vaccinate your kids, send them to Shonen Jump or Manga Plus.
Scanlations are the measles of the One Piece world.
Yeah.
So yeah, Alex.
So this is I would say that this is pretty huge news, and over the last couple of years, I've seen people use that very common excuse. Well, it's not in my country, so I'm going to still read scanlations. So if you are in fact part of that group, I'm happy to say that there is a version that you can read for free now with with all of us, you're able to support the official release, and I think that's pretty excellent.
Yeah, starting next week, everyone will get to read the manga recap when we do the manga recap.
Yeah,
legally and for free.
Yes, and I think this is kind of like thinking on it. Like this made me think back to this in particular made me think back to when I first started getting into One Piece, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I cut my teeth on scanslations. As you all know, I first saw One Piece overseas, and when I came here, when I came back to the States from vacation, there was no way for me to read it or watch it. So I got the bootleg Hong Kong DVDs, and I went on MSN, and I ended up getting a CD off of eBay that had up to, I don't know, the middle of Skypiea scanslated, and the translations were really fucking bad, and the scan quality wasn't optimal. And but that's all we had at the time. And when we got an official release, that's when I decided to switch over, because there's no reason for me not to at that point. If we are getting One Piece the same time as everybody in Japan, then I don't feel like we have I feel like we have a responsibility as fans to be a unit, and if we all have One Piece at the same time, then why not read it at the same time? That's
a long way from having.
2 cents.
You were what, 7 years behind in volume releases back when we started this podcast?
At least.
Yeah.
Because volume 23
Alabasta
came out.
Yeah.
And that was 2009. Or it was like six years behind.
Yeah, and then
so
we had the speed up in 2010. And
that's right.
Here we are today. It's unbelievable, yeah.
And when it comes to scans, I was having trouble thinking about this today, because God, it's been so long that I don't remember when spoilers started coming out for the new chapter days ahead of time. I remember when I was reading scans a day or two after the magazine was released, and people were scanning the pages of that. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head when chapters ended up getting released before the physical magazine Shonen Jump came out, because I know it was before Marineford, because the Ace thing was a huge spoiler that I think people were trying to avoid at the time. But
some point between 2006 and 2009, really, because it wasn't like that when I first started. Because when I first started, we had Yahoo groups. That's where we were at in 2006. The technology came a long way.
Sam, are you following?
Yeah. This is sort of
I'm here.
No, I just meant because you were much younger than the rest of us.
Oh.
So my big thing here is that this is sort of the evolution that we've sort of not the final evolution, obviously, but it's a new step in how we consume our media, how we consume manga. Back in my early days of fandom, tape trading was a thing. Going down to Chinatown or to an import store to buy subbed versions of Dragon Ball, because that hadn't aired in its entirety in America yet. That kind of stuff. Think about how far we've come, to the point where we're getting for free officially translated versions of the series that we all know and love.
The manga and the anime simultaneously.
One Piece has been at the head of the pack with that, because One Piece was really the first anime simulcast.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I forgot that
10 years later.
I forgot One Piece was one of the first ones. It's pretty unbelievable where we are today compared to where we were 10 years ago. But again, I guess 10 years is a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say, because I guess a lot of people are really young and they don't know where their manga comes from or care where their manga comes from, as long as they get it. I think it's good to keep in mind what what things used to be like, and how we have the luxury of getting this stuff for free, of getting the quality that we deserve from the thing that we like. So I don't know. I just think that anybody who is on the fence should think about that. That's just what I think. But
I'll cap this off by saying it goes to show that if you vocalize what you want and what you want to stand up for here, especially in the manga community and the One Piece community, someone is listening out there and maybe it'll take a really long time, but they're gonna come out with that eventually. So for everyone listening who wants that One Piece thing out, you got to speak up, or else no one's gonna know that you want that thing, that thing that they could send to you. So is there any other thoughts on that?
No, I think we summed it up.
Yeah. So the manga is off this week, which is one of the reasons we get to have such a fun, lengthy discussion about this. But we are going to be talking about Volume 91 with Steven here. We're going to go through the SBS as we usually do. We'll be back next week with our regularly scheduled manga recap. We also have some Piece Together, and we're going to be talking about a pretty damn cool anime episode this week. Sam, which episode is that?
That would be episode 870.
Which is something about Gear 4 Snake Man. Not to spoil you, but it's in the title, I think, basically. Also, it's all over the internet, so that's a really enjoyable one.
Snake Man isn't even in the title. It's just said it's like another iteration of Gear 4.
Right, yeah.
So
I spoiled.
You just ruined it.
Yeah, okay.
Way to go, Zach.
Yeah, I spoiled. Now you won't be able to enjoy that episode at all. So was there anything else at the top of the show that you guys wanted to mention here? I think we're probably ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about the volume. This segment of the podcast is enhanced with images. If you want to see those images, all you have to do is either download us on Apple Podcasts or a compatible podcast service that includes images, or you could watch us on YouTube if that doesn't work. All you have to do is listen for this noise, and that's when a new image pops up. Enjoy. This is the manga volume recap for Volume 91, Adventure in the Land of Samurai. Steven, you're going to take us through this volume.
All right, and let's start on the cover. As usual, we've talked about this before when the cover was first revealed, and of course that was quite a long time ago because this volume came out in early, like the first week of December. So it's been a little while. We're a little late catching up to this, but let's revisit this cover again. This is kind of our first full Wano cover, I think, right? 90 was something else.
Yeah.
Was Reverie, right?
Well, no, 90. According to Viz, 90 is the first Wano arc volume. But it was all Reverie themed.
Yeah. The illustration itself, we have all of the Straw Hats in their local disguises, with some nice, color schemes to go with them, so we can see how they should look animated and everything. And it's in true One Piece fashion. It's very busy, especially because he's got the layer of I guess sakura, the cherry blossom petals, kind of floating all over the place, and you got the those little horizontal clouds in the background. But I do really like it. I like the color scheme, and I'm not even sure what's the deal with the tricolor logo, but it looks awesome. The blue and yellow and pink for the One Piece logo.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. The Robin and Nami thing is the only thing that kind of is weird to me.
Wait.
That they're like busts. Essentially, they're just cut off in the middle. Yeah,
it's just a little weird, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah. The thing that threw me off about Robin is that she doesn't have her little nose line. But looking at the physical volume itself, it sort of looks like it's like a highlight more than anything. Like her nose line is in a highlight. But I don't know. I'm actually wondering, looking at this, Oda is still drawing these volume covers with by traditional means, or if he has completely switched to the tablet, just because in the several latest One Piece magazines he's shown his progress for drawing some illustrations in the style of on his tablet.
Yeah, and
the finished product looks very similar to his normal stuff.
Sam?
we have that video of him drawing the sketch at least. I'm pretty sure that this is still with like his real Copic markers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know Shueisha, or the One Piece official account, did post the progress drawing. So I don't know if that means it was digitally done or.
I think the sketch was digital, and then like the actual final thing was traditional.
Yeah. Oda actually seems like recently he's been more willing than, let's say, in Urasawa to, make that transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I've noticed, I guess, is if you look really closely at Frankie's teeth, they've got some pink in them, so that could be a little flub, an ink flub there. So yeah, that if this was done digitally, I'm sure that could have been easily corrected. But something to think about, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So that's the front cover, and then if we flip it open, let's see if we can find where Panda Man is hiding. And it is Opanda. No, Otama holding her apple has turned into a little child proportioned Panda Man, although he's still got the 6-pack, so it's a little creepy looking, but it's great and
powerful.
Horrifying.
Powerful.
It is another example of because she is also the spine figure, that Panda Man is also on the spine underneath the dust cover. So
very nice. Not bad.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I would posit that the Panda Man on the cover is digital. I mean, I hate to harp on this, I really do, but thinking from a layout and like how could this be easier to implement Panda Man? Well, we'll take the image and then Oda Sensei can just draw it digitally on top now. So that's
probably a good guess. Yeah. So there we go. That is the cover, and then we will move on to the inside flap. And I'm sure many people have become familiar by now, thanks to the character of Komachio, with the Koma Inu, the lion dog sort of decorative statues that are found at shrines all over Japan, and in similar form in Okinawa and Taiwan, and areas throughout East Asia. So his comment here is the order went out to build a Koma Inu decoration at the shrines. It is a nationwide order back in the Edo period. And so you have all these local stone carvers who are looking at each other going, what's a Koma Inu? They've never seen one before. They don't know what this is. There's no internet image search. There's no fax machines. So what can they do? They have to use the greatest tool known to mankind, the power of imagination, to create what they imagined a traditional Koma Inu would look like. And the result is known nowadays as Hajime Koma Inu, or the first Koma Inu. And he says, you can go and Google that because they look real funky. And let volume 91 begin. Actually, I tweeted about this when I started working on this, because I looked up and I said, hey, you should put this into Google Images and look it up, because you get some real funky things where it's just like they're barely recognizable as the same concept, or they look more like toads and things like that. So there's some real fun stuff in there, but it's not very widely known. It's just sort of a Japanese only thing that doesn't have a lot of documentation. So it doesn't have a lot of coverage in Western knowledge of Japanese art and craftsmanship and stuff. So it's just a fun little artifact that Oda Sensei is referring to. So we will move on to, let's see, the table of contents. We have this covers from chapter 911 through 921. So that goes from Let's see. We start off with Luffy faced with the duel between the baboon and Komachio on the beach when he first lands there. And then it goes all the way to the chapter titled Shutenmaru, where we first get the glimpse of Kaido's full dragon form. So that is what volume 91 covers. And we will start the SBS here. Let's see. This is the second chapter. Yes. So our first header here is of Kaido, and this is a parody of the scene where he says, "Let's start the greatest war this world has ever seen." And in this case, Kaido is saying, "Let's start the greatest collection of perversion this world has ever seen." Just starting us off with a very accurate preview of what is to come. And the first reader says, here is the flowchart for this volume's SBS. So number 1, SBS starts before Odachi can initiate it, like always, ha ha ha. Number 2, another question comes and Odachi snaps. Number 3, another question comes and Odachi acts dumb. And then there's a little side note that says, this is where Odachi's brilliance at picking letters comes in. And then number 4, the SBS ends with a super funny, snarky comment. And this comes from pen name Start the SBS. And Oda's like, oh, come on now. It's not that predictable. It's going to start off differently this time. Just you'll see, because finally, I am the one who gets to announce that the SBS has already started because it's in your pen name. So there you go. There's number 1. Odachi does not get to start the SBS. Here comes the next question. Please let me start the SBS, and I will give you the millet dumplings between my legs. And there's a handy picture of Otama popping the little dumplings off of her cheeks. And Oda says, "Shut up, you sicko." So there you go. There's number 2. The next question is in chapter 825, you do Chopper delightedly eating the cotton candy rain that is falling out of the sky. This is on Whole Cake Island, of course. If porno mags fell from the sky, what would you do, Odachi? Here. And, he's got like toss. And then Oda's like, yay, chomp. And he's munching. And he's like, oh, shoot, I can't read them if I eat them first. No. So there you go. There's number 3, Odachi acts dumb. And lastly, the fourth question is a question that says, when guys like Luffy and Usopp see robots, their eyes sparkle and shine. So given how he's so cool and mature, how would Law react to one? And Oda draws a handy little picture of Law, who's like his head is turning and he's still got the sparkles, but his his mouth is hanging open a little bit, not too crazy. And Oda says like this, I mean, just imagine it for yourself. If a robot walked in front of you, you would look like this too. So there you go. He's and now if you go back and look at the first question, it all aligns perfectly with the pattern that the reader pointed out. So there you go. Some meta commentary and humor on the SBS. We will go to the second SBS, which has a rather disturbing cover, or a header, I should say.
Yeah, pretty disturbing.
Yeah, there's the aforementioned image of Tama, pulling her cheek for the millet dumpling, except now it's like Luffy's rubber powers, and she's just pulling it all the way into an SBS shape.
I'm glad they're not pliers.
Yeah, right. But then whose hand is that? Because it's probably not hers. So the first question is referring here, as we can see, to the scene from the Reverie when Vivi first sees Leo, and he's in the palm of her hands, and she's exclaiming about how cute he is, and Karoo is looking over her shoulder rather furiously at Leo, And the question is like, why is he staring down Leo like that? Is it because he's a pirate? And Oda says, no, I mean, I think this is pretty much just straight up jealousy because, Vivi's like fawning over Leo, like, oh, he's so cute. So Karu is jealous that he doesn't get that treatment. The next question is about yes, this is a good one. From chapter 907, when we have the scene of all the folks in the Marine or the Navy, like the mess hall or the break room or whatever it is, where we see all the different officers, and we get a look at Chaton and Momo Usagi, who are both playing a big role in that scene. And so this letter is saying, I'm presuming, so they weren't directly introduced, but they're in the scene. And so he says, I'm assuming that the woman who calls Garp Garpy, or Garp-chan in Japanese, is Momo Usagi, who was first revealed in the SBS, right? And then the other guy, the other soldier who is calling Momo Usagi sis or ma'am, One-chan, is the similar the figure, the vice admiral named Chaton, who are, let's see, what were the actors? So Chaton was based
Kiyoshi Atsume.
Yes, Tora-san.
Yes.
From the Tora movies, and then Momo Usagi was
God, I don't know. If Joey were here, he'd be able to tell us right off the top of his head. But she is based on the actress Michio Kogure.
That's right. Yes. Thank you. And so there's just confirming that question, and Oda says, "Yep, I have some design documents for them because they were cameo characters in film Gold, which we definitely talked about. But it has some interesting little notes here about their personalities or what they're about. And so it says that Momo Usagi is sort of like a little sister to Tsuru, although her age is not disclosed. And she has a famous sword that is named Kompira. And Chaton is described as that he gets along with Fujitora well, and he also likes eating raw egg over rice. So that's tamago kake gohan. And a type of fried tofu fritter called gan modoki. And then there are more notes here because he kind of split them up. These are clearly on different pages. Chaton, his real name, sort of like how Kizaru is named Borsalino and Kuzan and Sakazuki. His real name is Tokikake. He has an eye for pretty women. And he is treated like an outcast among the Navy, but for some reason the civilians seem to like him. So that seems to line up with Tora-san.
Tora-san. Yeah, he is basically Tora-san.
Yeah,
and I think we talked about this in that particular manga recap. Joey brought it up, I believe, that he calls in Japanese. I think he calls Garp chieftain or something like that, or Sakazuki chieftain, or like a boss. And that also lines up with Tora-san as well.
Okay. Yeah. It's a very accurate homage, I would say. And then Momosagi, her name is Gion, which is also, I believe that's the name of a district I think it's in Kyoto. And she is said to be skilled at parlor games. And that's sort of like stuff that geisha or maiko traditionally do. So again, this is sort of like very old school, traditional kind of women entertainer type stuff. She uses her seductive hospitality to lure all kinds of pirates into trouble. And her favorite food is green tea over rice. That's ochazuke, and a type of traditional rice flour sweet called yatsuhashi. So yeah, she is clearly kind of depicted as being very sort of old school Kyoto traditional Japanese lady. So there you go, get nice little profiles of those two characters. And the last question of this segment is also kind of ties into that because it's based on the same scene. It is pointing out that Lady Hina seems to be on a first name basis with Vice Admiral Garp. In Japanese, she calls him Garp-kun. But isn't she like a rear admiral? She's, he outranks her. So why is she so informal with this very senior officer who, he's her dai senpai. He's been around for decades longer than she has in the Navy. So why does she call him that? And Oda says, well, it doesn't seem to me like this is something that Hina does equally to all high-ranking people. It seems to be like a special relation, personal vibe that she has with Garp. And Garp's the kind of guy who, he gets along with everyone. He doesn't get hung up on rank and station. And he seems to enjoy, her penchant for being kind of brusque. So, it seems to make sense that they would interact as equals. So there you go. Some interesting interpersonal stuff between Marine officers. And then we will go on to the next SBS, which this one is a parody of Katakuri yelling at Flampe that he does not need her half-hearted assistance. And except this time he is yelling at Oda, his fish drawing. And he's saying, the last thing I need are some half-hearted answers.
He's shaking at him.
Yeah. Let's see what we get here. So the first question, we have a picture of Daifuku with his genie. The first question says, I rubbed my tummy to make a genie like Daifuku came out, and all that emerged was an extra big fart. And this came from pen name Toot. And Oda's reply is, cool.
Did you just do a John Oliver? That's my favorite one so far. I'm just gonna be honest here. Yeah.
It's pretty good. The next question is about Galette, asking, what is Galette's power, since she was clearly using it to kind of imprison Nami in the scene outdoors when the syrup rain was coming down. And he says, there sure are a lot of people with devil fruit powers in the Charlotte family. And Oda says, Galette is a butter woman with the power of the butter fruit. Her power is that she can control butter. So the answer is butter. And he says, you're right. There's a lot of powers. But the thing is, there's so many characters and there's so many powers. It would just bog things down if I had to stop and explain every single one. So my thinking is, if it's not central to the story, I'll just, breeze through it. And, you just kind of take it in stride. And if you really want to know the answers, that's what the SBS is for. That's what the Viva card stuff is for. So that's for the people who really want to know everything.
So these all feel like really half-assed answers. So
Zach, you spent some time in Iowa the last couple of years. Did you ever see any butter sculpture?
Oh man,
those are saved for the campaign events. You should know that. Well, I was at campaign events, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You were there.
It was January, so I'm gonna say no. It seems like
it's got to be cold out to preserve the butter. You don't want the butter on the table of the butter Last Supper, melting.
so it's funny. If I mention that, Ed, a friend of mine, one of my teammates on my improv troupe, she's from Minnesota, and every year at the Minnesota State Fair, they do it's like the Miss Dairy competition or something like that. And the winner of the Miss Dairy competition gets her sculpture made in butter.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yep, that's the prize.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, big dairy states.
So Sam, this next time, I hope to see you there, and as a butter sculpture.
All right, I'll work on it.
Thank you.
All right, good to hear. Our next question is about bounties, and it is a question that says, if it seems like the officers who work for the four emperors also have very high bounties, do they get a boost in that value just for being the subordinate of a particular pirate? And Oda says, "Oh yeah, that definitely happens." I mean, we just saw in Dressrosa that the Straw Hats and all of the other gladiators got, as a general rule, they all got 50 million berry increases. And usually the captain will get a bigger increase than the rank and file members. So, the point is that it is very difficult actually to measure a person's strength solely by the amount placed on their head.
Right there. Oda just laying that shit out.
As if he doesn't say that like every time some permutation of this question comes up. So yeah, there you go. And finally, we have some little profiles of the 4 Revolutionary Army captains who were introduced in the Reverie. So we're going to get their hobbies and their food likes and dislikes. So we'll start on the left with Karasu, the one with the mask on. And his hobby is volunteering. His favorite food is sausages. And his least favorite food is all kinds of chicken. So
shocking.
There you go. No, doesn't like the birds.
He actually seems like
not a cannibal.
But he seems like a nice guy, volunteering.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, he is revolutionary.
Yeah. Their heart's in a good place.
Lindbergh's hobby is board games. He likes Hamburg steak. So that's not hamburgers, but like Salisbury steak. And he hates cookies. Bello Betty, her hobby is vegetable gardening. She likes almonds and she hates mayonnaise.
I love Bello Betty even more now because I also hate mayonnaise and I don't understand why people like it. But go ahead.
Lastly, Morley's hobbies are karaoke and going on underground walks. If you recall, he's the one who travels through the ground. His favorite
underground
food
walks.
Yeah.
Is that his OkCupid profile?
It's like an oxymoron.
Long walks under the
ground. Long walks underground.
His favorite food is bagna cauda, which I had to look up. It's apparently an Italian kind of fondue type concept. And his least favorite food is fish. So there you go.
Olive oil, chopped anchovies, and garlic.
Yeah, I believe it's Northern Italian.
It sounds good. It sounds kind of good, actually. Very rich.
Yes. Our next SBS, this header is from Hippo Iron, who is a frequent header artist, and it is Charlotte Praline doing her singing to attract the the Territory Sea Slugs, I believe was the name, into an SBS shape. And our first question is this person prefaces it by saying, "This is the biggest question in the world right now. The one everyone wants to know. What kind of chin does Ivankov have? I am so curious about this." And Oda says, so it's not a butt chin. It's some other type of shape because it kind of juts out a little bit.
It's a dick chin.
Triangle.
The curls.
No,
so Oda explains that it is a fried squid. Ivankov has a deep fried squid chin. And he, in parentheses, he says, "I'm just making this up off the top of my head." So, there you go. If you've ever seen like the classic whole fried squid, like on a skewer,
or Icaros from Fishman Island,
right. It has the little pointy triangle head. That's apparently is the description of that shape of chin. The next one is about the Tokyo One Piece Tower exhibit. So apparently it has theme songs by the band Green, and those theme songs are titled Forever Dawn and Phantom Promises, and those are on an album called Ude D. And there's a picture of the front cover.
Is it here, weird that I'm just hearing it as Forever Young, but with Dawn?
I don't know. Well, you can go there and
I guess it's more of a psychological issue,
yeah.
but yeah.
Uda D, I think is supposed to be a play on Udashi, which is means happy, but they're imagining that it's like the letter C turning into the letter D. And this person is saying, wait, Uda D? Does this mean that Green has inherited the will of D? I mean, I think it does, right? Right? And Oda says, yeah, so that's the theme song for the Tokyo One Piece Tower show. And there's a D. The letter D is right in there. So I actually asked this. I asked Hide from the band Green about this myself. And he said the D in Ude D is the will of D. And, he does a little like, woo, clap, 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 applause thing. And he says, well, he likes to mess with people and just sort of say stuff to tease them. So he might have just been goofing around. But it is a great album. So check it out if you have the chance, and definitely check out the show at Tokyo One Piece Tower because it runs every day. And he points out that he also supervised Phantom. I'm not sure how that works, if there's like lyrics or something that have something to do with the song. But Oda played a part in that. So there you go. Something to look forward to if you ever visit Tokyo Tower. And lastly, we have a question about Brule. I think she's really wonderful, and I'm just head over heels. I would like to start a relationship with Brule. Do any of the Charlotte family members marry for love? And Oda says, I get it.
Is that how the inflection goes?
Yes. And then Oda says, oh, no, I get it. You've got the little sister thing going on. You've got the Imoto Moe thing. So just go on and elope with her. So there you go. Apparently Brule is not married by the sound of that. All right, so that is the SBS for there. All right, here we go.
We're getting this next header image. It looks like she's in an old-timey iPod commercial.
I was thinking like a 1960s ad or something.
Yeah, it's a very mod, but the silhouette is definitely iPod commercial. That is Reiju in I guess this is implied to be the transformation sequence, but at any rate, it's like the poison moth wings forming the SBS. Very cool. And our first question here is about the mugs of beer. So at the start of the series, when the characters were drinking, they were in glass steins, I guess, or I guess that's not a stein. It's just a glass. The steins are like ceramic, right? But at some point, they turned into these little mini barrels. When did they change? Why did you change them? And Oda says, "Oh yeah, you noticed that, huh? Yeah, but don't the barrels just look more piratey?" Well, that's really just an excuse because under Japanese law, you cannot drink alcohol until you are 20 years old. That is legal drinking age. So it's probably better that we can't actually tell what the characters are drinking. But he says he does think that they look cooler than glass mugs.
He is right, but what is this, Dragon Ball Z in the mid-90s? I mean, come on.
I said, yeah, it looks like it's not beer, it's a glass of frothy water.
As I was saying, didn't they change it to purple or something in the? I forget what color. Anyway,
it was light blue. Yeah. Roshi was the only one getting wasted though. Goku drank beer out of cans, if you remember.
Light purple is light purple is what is what Superintendent Chalmers and Skinner are drinking in the steamed ham scene in 22 short films about Springfield.
Oh my god. But the thing is, so the drinking age is 20. But Sanji totally smokes his death cigarettes all the time through the entire series without any interrupt. His freaking family name is Vinsmoke.
Wait, no, wasn't he 19 at the beginning of the series?
Yeah.
Well, okay, he was smoking at 19, but what do you want from
me? He's also smoking as like a 10-year-old in that flashback.
Oh yeah. Oh, God.
They didn't show that in the anime, I don't think.
Yeah, that might not be in the anime.
He's a bad kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. And according to Maddie, he stinks worse than skeletons.
Which is wrong, because he smells like food and cigarettes, which are both objectively great.
Wow.
I disagree. Go ahead.
All right. And next we have this volume's installment of the Characters in the Future. And this time we get to see Pirate Hunter Zoro at age 40 and age 60. So first we have cool Zoro, which it definitely, with the longer hair and still kind of swept back, definitely has a very strong Rayleigh vibe here, with the scar and everything. So at age 40, there's Zoro, and he's going, "I'm Zoro, 4-sword style." So he has added a sword. And then at age 60, "I'm Zoro, 5-sword style." I'm not going to ask where. Yeah. I'm not going to ask where. And then we have the alternate future, the tragic future of Zoro. And so this on the age 40 one, he's already lost some teeth, and he is dispensing advice. He says, "Don't do it, kid. Don't put that sword in your mouth." And then he also adds, "Wounds on the back are owie, owie, ouch, ouch, ouch." And then at age 60, he says he's got the oh god, what is his name? Greg Universe? Is that Steven's dad in Steven Universe? I think so. He's got the flowing mullet and the bald head here, and he's saying, "Look, I'll get down on my hands and knees to beg if you just give me some money." So,
wow,
sort of falling on hard times.
He looks like Carl from Aqua Teen with longer hair.
Hey, Monkey Man.
That's amazing.
Hey, I'm Zoro over here.
I know I need some money.
Yeah, got the 3 swords.
What's his last name? Carl in
Roronoananadilewski.
So Zoro Roronoananadilewski. Roronoananadilewski. Perfect.
All right. Our next installment is our header is of Morley, and he is making the SBS with his ground altering powers here. And the first question is kind of a tricky one. It's one that kind of needs to be explained, at least for the Viz version, but it refers to Luffy's catchphrase about becoming the Pirate King. So if you watch the anime subbed, then you know that the way he says it is "Kaizoku wo ni ore wa naru," which is kind of backwards. So like a traditional way of saying it would be "Ore wa kaizoku wo ni naru." The Japanese language is more flexible with kind of ordering the clauses or the parts of speech than English is as a general rule, but even still, it does kind of stick out. And so this person was asking, why is there a reason that you reversed this? And that would be, it would be sort of like the equivalent of saying the king of pirates is what I'll be. And so Oda's like, wow, you're asking this after 90 volumes. This is what you want to know. It took you this long. Wow, you must have been really curious. And so he says, as a matter of fact, about 20 years ago, when the TV series was just starting, the producer, Mr. Shimizu from Toei, who Oda calls the father of One Piece, asked the same question. So why did you phrase it this way? And he says that the fact that I was so particular about this phrasing was a sign to Shimizu. It convinced him that One Piece was going to be a success. And Oda reveals that the reason for this, particular obsession of his is ... to be continued. No, it won't. He says, I just think it's grammatically powerful. If I was the kind of person who wrote this the normal way, I don't think I would have been able to depict Luffy the way that Luffy is. So, in short, it was on a whim. But there you go. There's a little bit of background onto the most famous catchphrase in the series.
It's as grammatically correct as we are Maji.
Yeah.
Maji we are.
Next,
Yoda.
Next is chapter 902, We see this is the scene where I guess this is at the end of Whole Cake Island, where you get to see the parallels between Sanji and Zeph. So we get a little glimpse at the Baradier, and there's a pirate in the background, a very stereotypical looking pirate who looks a whole lot like Crescent Moon Gary from the Romance Dawn one shot. And I forget, did we mention
his name? Gary?
Ooh. I think we call him Galley.
Galley?
Oh,
okay.
We did mention this, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have an official release either way, so it kind of doesn't matter. But
this Romance Dawn
I just like the idea
official?
of a pirate named Gary.
Yeah, I mean, that is funny. But
Gary.
Actually, okay. Well, actually, I've always wanted to explain this on the podcast, so I might as well do it now. So, fun fact about the name Gary in Japanese is they have weird pronunciation of it. Like they either say Gyari, so like in a real exaggerated New York way, Gary, or they say Gary, like Gary. And the reason
they
that
both sound like Long Island or Staten Island. It's just which part of the city you're in, yeah.
But the reason for that is that the reason they don't just say Getty is because Getty is the word for diarrhea.
Guys, Getty Lee.
Well, he is Russian.
Wow. Well done, Ed.
Yeah.
So that was the question. It was just, is this the guy from the Romance Dawn one shot? And Oda says, yeah, that is correct. He appears in the One Piece prototype one shot, which I believe now is only available in One Piece Red, the data book. So that is, of course, not available in English, unfortunately. But that's him. He took that design and threw him in the background.
I thought there was some publication, and I cannot remember for the life of me, where all three of the Romance Dawns were published. But I may just be conflating that with an episode we may have done where we went through all three. And I
don't know. One of the first one is in the manga box sets.
Yeah.
And I think they've both been published in at least the monthly.
Yeah, I thought
print
they were.
magazine.
Okay,
that's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
You may be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have those. They're in a box somewhere near me right now, but I'll look around maybe.
And I believe, when this was a few years ago, it was for some Shonen Jump festival or something, but they were there was a Dragon Ball Z and a One Piece special that were subbed on the Japanese website.
That was 10 years ago. That was over 10 years ago now.
That's right. Yeah, it was like the 25th anniversary of something, right? Or maybe Jump 30th, something like that. They animated part of that, and I think they subbed it Galley.
Okay.
Well, not to be like, well, actually, Steven, but that
came out with the Dragon Ball Z special that introduced Vegeta's brother Tarble.
Yeah, who was referenced in the new Dragon Ball movie.
Right.
Very briefly.
Tarble. Last question here is a serious one. No, it is. Let me continue. Does the fact that the castle in Marijoa is called Pangea Castle mean that all of the continents of the world could fit together like a puzzle, making them all one piece? Pangea Castle is located in the center of the world, so I think it makes sense. And Oda says, yes, the ancient continent of Pangea, or Pangea, I'm not sure how this is supposed to be said, is the name of when all the continents of the world formed a single landmass eons ago. Why did I choose that name in particular? I'm not saying. Haha. Yeah. So that's his answer. So if the name of the castle did not already, if it wasn't already like sending up smoke signals, a sign of fire, this is now, I think, like a 5-alarm fire as far as, the backstory theories and things like that of what the, what the Void Century might be about, things like that. There's been theories for years and years, but this
I've
is
been
definitely
saying it for
Oda.
years and years, definitely.
Yeah, this is Oda's strongest hint since to take that question and then say, "Hey, this is what that meant. What does it mean? I don't know." Very suspicious. And last SBS segment for volume 91, we have for the header we have the ladies of Amazon Lily, and they are doing the party gag with the chopsticks in the nose and in the mouth, and they are holding up the letters saying the SBS is over. So our first question is from someone about the finger pistol ability. Since the 6th grade, I've been fascinated with the ability to pierce a person with a mere finger, as exhibited by CP9. I've been training all this time so that I have the power to pierce any friend who tries to mess with me. But as of right now, the only reaction I'm getting from them is, "Your fingernails are really long." How many more years of training do I need in order to pull off the ideal finger pistol? And Oda's response is, "I think it's probably best if you don't poke holes in your friends." So there you go. And next is about Morley and Ivankov. So this is kind of a backstory question. It's a little bit complicated, so bear with me here. So in chapter 538, this would be in Impelled Down, Ivankov said there was a prisoner with digging devil fruit powers who created New Kamaland. Does Morley have anything to do with that? And since the giants are so long-lived, is it possible that Morley created it ages and ages ago? And Oda says, yes, you are correct. First of all, Morley's power is the oshi oshi no mi, the push fruit, and it is the ability to push things aside without breaking them. So you can bury things or create caves underground. So he says that Morley is currently 160 years old, and he or she, he actually puts in, he says he, and then in parentheses she, was captured over 100 years ago as a violent pirate, and that's when Morley created that space within Impelled Down. He used his power to escape without anyone realizing it. And it was only recently, once after escaping, that he got dragged into a certain incident and wound up joining the revolutionaries. And after he met Ivankov, they got along great. And then Eva went to Impelled Down. So Ivankov built New Kamaland inside the cave that Morley left. But as a matter of fact, Eva does not know that Morley was the one with the digging powers, which seems like an odd and kind of confusing distinction to make, but I guess he has some reason
I'm guessing Ivankov later put 2 and 2 together, because I think by this point...
No, it says he does not know. He still does not know that Morley was the person with the digging powers.
Maybe Ivankov should use deductive reasoning to figure it out.
Yeah. Use the powers of talking. He's right there, isn't he?
Ivankov should change his name to Unobservant Cough. Am I right? Barf.
Yeah. And
lastly, wow, this last one is very topical.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, this is very, yes, this has been in the news recently.
Olympics.
The last one is about convenience stores. I heard that you won't be able to buy adult magazines at the convenience store anymore, which, side note, is apparently true, that they are trying to crack down on what is displayed at convenience stores, and it is the excuse is that it is because the 2020 Olympics are coming up. Does that mean I won't be able to buy One Piece at the convenience store anymore? And what is like, hey, everybody listen up. Remember this. One Piece is a shonen manga for boys. Dong. And that is it. The SBS is over until next volume. And yeah, I believe that is it. I don't think there's anything particularly of note in the back after the gallery. So it is just the usual ads.
Anyone have any questions or thoughts for Steven or for Oda?
I will answer in my capacity as translator.
Sounds like no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that will wrap it up.
Not the worst one. We've had better, I think. But thank you, Stephen, for going through that with us. And volume 91 eventually comes out in English. Do we have a date for that? Do we know? I should probably look that up.
So. Yeah.
89's in a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, 90's already been listed, I think. Wait.
Yeah.
90's the one where they're changing the subtitle to Wano.
Yeah.
Yeah, and volume 91 comes out August 6th, 2019.
Okay.
So there you go. Not super far away. And you can pick up the Japanese version now, Amazon Japan, and read along with on Amazon Japan, Kinokuniya, anywhere where you get your imports, and you could follow along with what we did today. Yeah. You could listen to this all over again. So thank you, Stephen.
Sure.
Let's move on.
This is the anime recap for episode 870, A Fist of Divine Speed, another Gear 4 application activated. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have, joining us once again, we have Rick and Morty's very own Brian Newton.
Hello.
And we have friend of the podcast, or not friend of the podcast, I'm sorry.
Not friends at all.
Contributor to the podcast, Jill, Minister of Chill.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I have no friends in the One Piece podcast, only enemies.
That's not true.
The title card this week begins at 4 minutes and 22 seconds, although they kind of start the episode off repeating the last scene of last week's episode, and then we have kind of a quick scene where Luffy and Rayleigh, we're going back to the Rayleigh flashbacks once again, where Luffy is demonstrating Gear 4 to Rayleigh for the first time. It's kind of weird seeing, it's the same animation, like they have all that Gear 4 bank animation basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird seeing Gear 4 with like Luffy's old red vest.
I was going to say it, that was really cool to see that.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I was wondering what looked off. That makes sense.
And I also don't think he had a sash either. Yeah, it's like classic Luffy. What was also really cool about this sequence was, it's apparently one of the first times Luffy activated Gear 4, but also someone who went up against Gear 4 but wasn't initially like brought down by it as well.
Yeah. So he's coming up with Gear 4, probably figured it out while beating up on some animals. But Rayleigh's he's on top of it. He sees Gear 4's weakness immediately, and he's able to use observation haki to dodge all of Luffy's attacks, implying that this is the impetus for Luffy developing Snake Man. So we come back to the present. Luffy's doing his Snake Man. He's blowing into his arm. The smoke and steam coming out of his body is twisting out in all these crazy snake shapes. This is Naotoshi Shida. If you know one animator's name, that's probably the one you know, like me. So yeah, he's Snake Man. We see him. We get a little demonstration of how his Gum Culverine or Jet Culverin works now, where he punches. Katakuri dodges it pretty easily because he can see the future and all that. But he's confused for a moment. He's like, "Why are your punches so simple now?" And then, bam! Right upside the head. Oh, that's why. Luffy's attacks are able to sort of redirect in midair, and still accelerate, still maintain momentum. So that's basically the whole kind of gist of the fight of this whole episode, is that Luffy's arms are just kind of bending at all these crazy angles at high speeds and trying to kind of outrun Katakuri's observation haki.
Yeah, he's a much faster version of his Gum abilities.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can't predict where those punches are necessarily coming from easily.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome to see it, because that was what Katakuri, obviously, he's had over him the entire time, but especially at the beginning when it came out of nowhere. So now he's kind of turned the tide on that.
Yeah, so this episode looks amazing.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's beautiful.
The sequence, the kind of the first like really very animated sequence where it's the two kind of getting a feel for each other now that Luffy's in this new form. And
well, even the transformation itself, like you mentioned the snake clouds, but I also want to just mention how, in comparison to when Luffy transformed the Bounce Man the first time, you actually saw his body grow and oscillate, like filling with air. But this transformation was a little different, where the smoke itself almost felt like it had sentient and was wrapping him up in a very more magical way.
Yeah, it was more Sailor Moon. The
totally.
Smoke comes up, covers him, and then when the smoke clears, he's all buff now.
Yeah, it's a total transformation. Especially like the way the snake wrapped up his arms and legs. I have cats running around, but that's fine.
He's doing like he's waving his arms in these kind of fluid snake poses and stuff.
Yeah, it definitely, and I imagine they'll reuse this over and over again when we get future Snake Man transformations. But it was interesting how that transformation differentiated itself from Bound Man, which also interesting. We never got what this transformation looked like in the manga, because I think how it happened was Luffy introduced the new Gear 4 Snake Man, and then the chapter cut, and then we come back next week and he's already transformed.
Right. Yeah, so the way they animated it is they kind of showed him, like last week they showed him transforming a bit, like we saw his eyes changing, we saw his hair standing up, but we don't get to see the whole thing. And then here, it's almost like they kind of repeat that process, but now more vivid.
Mm-hmm. And his eye. Oh yeah, you mentioned his eyes. Yeah, that was interesting touch.
Yeah, so the thing that I think really makes the anime version of the Katakuri fight distinct is just like how big the mirror world feels, and that they really put that to use here, where Luffy's arms are just everywhere.
Yeah,
and Katakuri is like turning himself into this donut and speeding around like Sonic the Hedgehog. I keep watching like clips of it on YouTube, or not on YouTube, but like on Twitter and stuff. Sometimes they're just like the clips of animation but without the sound, and I love making the sound of the wheel myself, like.
Yeah, there's one specific bit where the Katakuri's wheel is running from one of Luffy's arms, and then gets almost in a pincer attack against the other one and dodges it by turning like a hard left. So basically, I know where they got that shot from. That's a Tron shot.
Oh, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's an overhead shot, and you don't really see Luffy. You just see his arms kind of creeping up from off screen, but they're coming from completely opposite directions. So it's like they're both trying to make a grab for it, and he's like very they're just fucking around. These two guys, they're just playing around, and Katakuri's like
so
dip into the side and like
I feel like underneath. Has Katakuri ever pulled out this like rolling move before, or did he come up for this stupid fight? Because
just now.
Like, when would Katakuri ever before?
I'm sorry, what? Sorry, Jill?
When would he have ever come up with, like, this donut move before where he actually turns into the donut, unless he's in this situation?
Well, it's clearly his ultimate form.
We have indeed seen his final form. Well, because I think that kind of plays on to... There's a later scene in this episode where Luffy is... He's just kind of blurting out whatever's on his mind. He's like, "Oh, it hurts. Oh, I'm hungry. And Katakuri's asking him like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just blurting out whatever's on my mind. It feels better. It makes the fight easier." Which I think is kind of the idea with Katakuri, where like he's cutting out all pretense. He wants to be a donut boy. He's gonna be a fucking donut boy.
Yeah, because like Katakuri is all about like restraining himself and not emoting in any sort of way, which everyone thought he was like the perfect man for that. But what's also funny about Luffy expressing himself that way is Oda's been on record how Luffy never has any internal thought.
Right.
He just always vocalizes like what he feels and how he feels about something.
Yeah, it's not a huge mix up for Luffy, really.
No.
It gives Katakuri a good fight though. So we get to we're kind of doing this whole episode out of order now. So we get to the buzz cut mochi, where it's like this big. Katakuri makes his fist into like this big like spiky mace ball thing. He smacks Luffy on it, and Luffy gets caught up in the stickiness of the mochi.
Yeah, it's a massive clothesline.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like spinning Luffy around. Like again, it's just the size of everything that happens. Katakuri is flings Luffy up and then slams him down. His like shoulder like roids up. Huge crater.
So many muscles.
More and more muscles just appeared.
I think the eye catch of the episode is around here. We come back to, we cut away. We get a little bit of filler of Sanji and Pudding flying towards Cacao Island on Rabian, and they're kind of scoping the scene out, trying to figure out. I thought this was really cute. I just like Pudding just kind of making these kind of glances at Sanji, just trying to figure out, how she wants to express herself in these final moments. And they're as they're picking up speed, like Nitro just kind of turns into like a blanket for them, so they're like, it looks like they're wrapped up in bed or something, and then like they accidentally like hold hands. It's like, oh no, they held hands.
Oh, now they're husband and wife. That's how it works. Pretty sure that's what Hancock thinks.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny how this time Sanji actually caught himself saying, "Oh, we shouldn't touch hands. You wouldn't want people to think we're husband and wife now."
But she would like that.
Yes, of course.
So we come back to Katakuri in the crater. This is the scene I was just talking about where Luffy is talking to him. He's psyching himself up.
Sam, the point you were saying earlier about how big the Mirror World is, it's pretty awesome actually, because if you think about it, the Mirror World is literally going to be the same size as our world, just kind of blank and empty. So they have that entire thing to roam. So they're not even constrained by like building size or even island size at this point. Or even water, so you can see like how destructive they get when they get full rain. And I also like to think, basically mirrors everywhere are just exploding.
Yeah,
like at this point,
they've already destroyed like as many mirrors as they can within Totoland. So it would be really tragic if they accidentally broke the one mirror that Luffy's supposed to come out of.
Oh, there goes that plan.
So this was my favorite little piece of choreography in the manga, which is the Python versus Burning Mochi, where they're hitting each other at the same time. Like Luffy's arms are kind of in the background, zigzagging all over the place, but they're still kind of directing forward. And Katakuri is doing that like thing where he blows his arm off right into Luffy's face, and they knock each other back.
Yeah, I specifically love that panel in the manga as well. The only thing about this, even though again this episode's brilliant, it shouldn't need to be said, but I wish when that attack connected for the both of them, they just frozen that shot a little longer, because the battle's so hectic that's really hard to follow and keep track of. So at least like when we got in the manga, it was like that was a nice like breath.
Yeah.
See, like, it's the dynamic of how like Luffy's arms like moving all around, the comeback around to smack Katakuri, and Katakuri launching his like burning mochi fist off.
Yeah. In the manga, it was like just total chaos, but then just like this big panel, just a big establishing panel where they're both connecting their hits, and you're like just your eye is just kind of exploring the whole thing, trying to make sense of it all.
And then it does eventually, but this is like it's in the middle of the chaos, and then that move happens, and it's still a lot of chaos. But like at least with an episode like this, it encourages you to watch over and over again to really pick up all those details.
Yeah, for sure. The Gum Black Mamba, which I guess is like kind of the Snake Man version of the organ gun almost.
Or Gatling maybe.
Yeah, just fists going everywhere. Katakuri's like, oh yeah, I'm up to the challenge, and he's trying to dodge all these crazy fists going everywhere. He's back in donut form. Yes, that's where he likes to be. And then this is the Rayleigh stuff that I really liked, where we cut to. I don't even think this is a flashback. I think this is just what they're doing at this time.
Yeah, it's the present.
Rayleigh and Sheki they're pouring one out for Luffy, basically. Sheki is reminding Rayleigh of something he would often say, I suppose. Only those who live in the present can make a new epoch. And Rayleigh sees like a hint of Roger in his alcohol.
That line is exactly what Rayleigh said to the Straw Hat crew when they were asking about the One Piece and what they learned from what they learned from the true history, specifically towards Robin.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a line he does say. He has said before.
And so this is all happening while Luffy and Katakuri are gearing up for their final blows. Luffy's got the big King Cobra, Gum King Cobra. His fist, I guess, just transforms into like a magical electric cobra for a moment. And Katakuri's going back to the buzz cut mochi. And then rather in the manga where they just kind of cut, like the last panel of the manga is just like kind of a cut to this silent shot of the mirror world where you're not really sure what happens. You do see both of their attacks connect for a brief moment, and then just like huge mayhem as the mirror world gets torn to shreds. So that's interesting. And then that would be the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. Any general thoughts, you guys?
It was great.
Yeah. It was fantastic. I was gonna say, I love how many muscle bumps Katakuri gets after he slams
God
down. It's such a good drawing.
I felt uncomfortable watching it. Like I was
his red eyes, demon face.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, he was just on straight up beast mode, and it was very similar to how he looked in the comics, but they just took that extra step. And one of the things I love about the filler during the fight, and this is just when you get one good One Piece filler, it's just taking what's already pre-established and just adding a little bit extra. Mm-hmm. And that's what this did. What was I going to say? Oh, and one like small technical point. After Katakuri slams Luffy into the ground from his I forgot what it's called, power mochi?
The buzz cut mochi?
Buzz cut, sorry. Is that the way that the ground was drawn when it was like flying in the air was very simplistic and very angular and volumetric in a really interesting way I've not seen in the show before, to my recall. Where like you could do a block, giant blocks filling up Mirrorland in like 3 to 4 colors or 2 colors sometimes.
Right. Yeah, that's a very popular like anime sakuga thing where like grounds will get smashed up and they'll come up as cubes.
Yeah, and I think because like everything in Mirrorland is already Mirror World's already gridded and towel based, it just made that a little clearer and more interesting.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jill, do you have any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I when I got to work today, so my coworker, my assistant manager, I got him to watch One Piece last year, and he marathoned it, and he's caught up. So he doesn't read the manga, but he watches every week. So I know what's going to happen every week, and I just await his discussion, I guess. So we talk about One Piece in the office.
Do a live reaction with him.
Right? Someday. But yeah, we were talking. I had just showed up at work. He told me all the issues we had, and then immediately was like, all right, so now we got to talk about One Piece. And he was like, Jill, the Snake Man was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And he just went on. And I was like, yes, this episode is so good. Animation's fantastic. The manga does a really great job with Katakuri's expressions, but his voice actor is fantastic. Especially how he's progressed through the fight and become more and more expressive, and culminating in this, and it's really great. So yeah, I also really like seeing the flashbacks to Rayleigh, because basically we're seeing Luffy how he learned up to this point, but he's also learning throughout this fight, so he's expanding on his previous teachings, and it's so neat to watch. I love this fight, and this episode's really good at it.
Yeah, this episode really is as good as I could have possibly hoped it could be.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Definitely.
This one I think we've been waiting for since like the fight started.
It feels like something that they've been waiting for, like all their best guys are here, all their flashiest stuff. Right.
Sure, because the only thing that was even slightly lacking this episode is like the Sanji pudding stuff and maybe the early Rayleigh stuff, because you know where they put their money in.
Yeah, and I usually have like a little bit of reservation for like kind of the over stylized animation that shows up in One Piece sometimes, but like this is where that shit belongs, and they nailed it for sure. Yeah. Is it all, or are we ready to move on to the next segment?
I can't gush about this episode anymore because we'd be here all night.
Let's just watch it right now and then just live reactions.
I've watched it like 6 times already, so.
Oh man, I'm like 3 behind.
Yeah, I gotta get there.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
My name is Zach. Zach, I like Long Walks Underground, and One Piece, and also the Piece Together segment. So, Ed, what are we starting with?
Swipe left.
Ed, what do we want to start with here?
Email.
Sure. Let's start. Sure, I don't care. Let's start with Martin, who says, "Dear One Piece podcast, first and foremost, I would like to compliment Zach on his trivia topic last week. Don't worry, because he's about to not insult me, but point out mistakes I made. But he first compliments me, so I'll read that part. Not only did it pull such a random bunch of characters, the trivia topic last week, but it also reminded me how outdated that line from Alabasta has become about there only being 5 devil fruits that could fly. But he felt that I overlooked some sneaky flyers that he'd like to address. Kabu, bug fruit, model rhinoceros beetle. Now, I want to address each of these and why I either forgot them or did not include them.
I thought you mentioned Cub.
Yeah, I thought I mentioned Cub too, but I wrote him down, but I might not have mentioned
Beyond.
Yeah, I might not have mentioned Cub because I wasn't sure if rhinoceros beetles actually flew.
They do.
And I now know that they do. But I saw him and I wrote him down, but I just wasn't confident enough to say that. Captain Very Good, which I definitely did mention. It might have been someone might have talked over me when I said that. Totally possible. Conjuro, which very good one. Martin.
That is good.
That is a good one. I should have mentioned. Vinsmoke Reiju, which I should now say all of the Vinsmokes I think have those flying boot things. Now that's kind of a tough one because it's not really by the use of some of their own power. It's like a scientific thing. So it kind of borderline. But I mean, if someone had said that or one of the Vinsmokes, I probably would have been nice and given it to them. Montdor, or as he wrote it, Mondork. Now I don't remember him flying. I guess he wrote on books or something. Is that?
Yeah, he's stands on his books. And
yeah,
the books
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Right.
And the big one, which after this week's anime episode, I was really kicking myself. Monkey D. Luffy.
Oh God.
In Gear 4, who let's be fair. Not only was I, how did I miss that one, but also how did everyone else miss that one who was doing the trivia this week? So, but that's a big one. So yeah, thank you, Martin, for the compliment and also for pointing out some that we forgot. And I'm sure there's a lot more because that was kind of one I threw together with my own background, kind of just trying to figure stuff out there. So I did what I could in very, very quick work. Next one comes from Mira, who said in the last few weeks she has realized just how many names for characters that Oda has pulled from real history, including Diaz, Columbus or Lumbus, Magellan, and so forth. What real-life person that Oda hasn't borrowed a name or a characteristic from yet do you think would be interesting to see in the One Piece world? This is a really good question. Bill Clinton. Okay.
Antonio Inoki.
Antonio Banderas. I guess we don't have to do just explorers because he did name some people off. I mean, there are actors and stuff, didn't he?
Oh, there's 3 or 4 different characters named after wrestlers.
Yeah, that's for sure. There was one recently too, right? Aren't Lindbergh? Wasn't he named after someone? Or
well, he misses his fly data.
I thought it was also from something else, but yeah. The Funk Brothers, I mean, obviously are named after people. But I'm trying to think of who I'd want to see besides us. Is that too egotistic?
Well, I think if he runs the whole gamut of explorers and pirates, that'd be fine too. I was thinking, I was doing a crossword the other day, and I got Vasco da Gama, and I was like, yeah, I remember that guy. And then I was like, oh yeah, Vasco Shut is also named after that guy.
Oh yeah,
and talking about the strategist.
Oh, Verrazano should be one. I just love the name Verrazano when it's spelt correctly.
You like bridges?
I do like bridges.
What about Marco? Well, we got Marco, but what about Polo? We need a guy named Polo.
And they should just yell at each other the entire time, trying to find each other.
and he'd be a giant chicken, and then he'd be pronounced pollo.
And they'd be brothers, and then they'd be pollos hermanos.
Yep.
Yeah. Who else? Steven, do you have anyone you'd like to see in like history?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I can't come up with anything good.
Yeah. Oh, is there anyone named after what's his face? The Commodore Perry? Like, I'm a little surprised if we haven't seen that yet.
Commodore Perry. I think we did talk about.
Like, I thought we did too. I feel like it's familiar, and now I just can't remember it. And I'm sure.
Yeah, because we were talking about Commodore Walter.
Oh right, Commodore Perry and Commodore Walter. I can't remember what that was now, though. It must have been a small.
Me either.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. That's all for emails, and we don't have any Reddit, Steven?
No,
Is
there's
that a
no
first?
Reddit.
Yeah, that's a first in a long
I don't know.
time.
There's no thread, but that's fine because there's no chapter this week, anyways.
Yeah. So Ed, it's time too.
Piece the tweet. Yeah.
Time to piece the tweet. What do we got this week, Ed?
Put it all into that one. All right. First question comes from 91 Ryan, who says, after watching the most recent anime episode, wrong that I want Katakuri to have mochi versions of Luffy's different gears, if he can, that is.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much anything is possible with Katakuri's fruit. Like, I don't know if there's really rules to the particular.
I
devil
mean,
fruits.
mochi isn't really like gears. It would have to be called something else. Like, what other stages of mochi are there? Like, rubber and gear is referring to like.
Well, Katakuri lights mochi on fire. Like,
he already does most of the things mochi could already that I could think mochi could do, besides becoming alcoholic.
You really don't worry about powers having rules, really.
Yeah,
weird.
I guess so.
Yeah, Oda kind of threw that out the window when everything became strings, and strings could put organs back together, and strings can make a perfect clone of yourself. Even like,
to be fair,
like
strings can stitch things together. Like, maybe not in the way that Doflamingo used it, but it is possible. Like, it seems just like taken to an extreme. And also, Gear 4 is really taking rubber to an extreme. Like, I'm trying to even like think of the scientific, like a
really, he threw down.
He tried to explain it. Yeah. Was that was not in the manga? Was that?
No.
Yeah. I do want to say I love the hell out of that episode. That was a good episode. You guys recorded that before I had a chance to see it, but now I could say.
Yeah, I really liked it too, for the most part.
Yeah.
All the action was very good.
It was definitely some of the best animation I've seen in One Piece. Not consistently through the episode, but definitely those like big scenes. That was pretty heart pounding. Yeah.
It was like the last episode that really got me like pumped was the 2-parter that aired last year.
Oh yeah.
Where
that was great.
Sanji comes back. Like that episode did a lot for me. It's like 2 episodes of One Piece a year are good for me.
Like, which means great, but
I think
that's what I do mean. Yes,
like especially if you're a manga reader, I think you could digest One Piece in like you could skim the One Piece anime to make it really enjoyable. It's just a very difficult thing to do with an anime series. But there are like some great. I'd say per every few episodes there are some really great. There are a handful of really great scenes. It's just there's also 20 minutes per episode that's kind of slow. I don't know. Depends the episode. Anyway, Ed, what's next?
All right. The next one comes from that one welder guy who says, hey, OPP, since it's an off week, here's an off question. What are the Straw Hats' favorite Hot Pocket flavors?
Oh, my God.
Ooh.
What about Pop-Tarts? Those I know.
Hold on. I know Hot Pockets.
Okay.
We can do this.
Okay. Go for it, Alex.
But let's also do Pop-Tarts because we're late on questions this week. So... let's see. I'd like to think that here's the list of hot pockets that I can remember. There's pepperoni and cheese.
Yep.
Philly cheesesteak. And I think that's like a lean pocket too. And there's like a ham and cheese, and then there's chicken fajita.
There's also bacon, egg, and cheese, and like sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast, Hot Pockets. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really like.
Yeah, there's not many.
Yeah.
Is there?
So I'll go on a limb and say that Nami's favorite is the chicken fajita. Frankie's favorite is the Philly cheesesteak. Chopper's favorite is the Luffy's favorite is the ham and cheese. Brooke likes the sausage, egg, and biscuit from McDonald's.
There is a cheddar cheeseburger Hot Pocket, so I think that's Frankie's.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely Frankie's then. Yeah. All right, Philly cheesesteak will go to, let's say Usopp.
Yeah,
let's say Mo. Pop-Tarts, however, there are a gajillion flavors of Pop-Tarts, as I could tell you, as anybody can tell you, really. There's got to be a cotton candy flavored Pop-Tart.
Hold on. I got a question. Should I buy this Hot Pockets throw pillow that is a parody pillow for Hot Pockets Tide Pods?
What?
That I found on Redbubble. I found on Redbubble just now, and Chrome won't let me navigate to the page because it's trying to steal my data. Okay. Well,
I think it's worth it.
Buy it.
If I can get there without, I can go directly to Redbubble.
Oh my god.
Anyway, Pop-Tarts. Continue on.
Yeah, so whenever I go to the grocery store and I'm wandering through the cereal aisle, there's always a crap ton of Pop-Tarts of varying flavors. And, I mean, you have your old standbys, of course. You have the strawberry, blueberry, s'mores. And then you have the unfrosted strawberry and blueberry, which I was a fan of when I was a child because I'm boring. And the
brown sugar cinnamon?
Brown sugar cinnamon, wild berry.
Chocolate chip.
Are we doing Pop-Tarts?
Chocolate chip. Yeah.
S'mores?
I mentioned s'mores, the best flavor.
That is the best.
Milkshake. I had a strawberry milkshake flavored the other day, which has real milk in it.
Whoa.
By the way.
I am so behind on Pop-Tarts. I haven't had a Pop-Tart in forever.
And the packaging tells you to put it in the freezer for 20 minutes for a frosted, tasty treat. I have not tried that yet.
Sounds disturbing for some reason.
Yeah.
You want a frosted chocolate Pop-Tart?
Let's go out for some chocolate frosted Pop-Tarts.
There you go.
Given the season, there's a pumpkin flavor. I'm just going off the top of my head here, too. And, of course, there's a chocolate sundae, I believe, which I've never had.
The chocolate fudge. They still make the chocolate fudge flavor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Pop-Tarts, and I miss them. I mean, I grew up on the strawberry frosted one. That's the one I used to always have.
See, I did not like the frosting when I was a kid. I was like, what's this frosting?
That's
I want no
bizarre.
frosting.
I mean,
everybody tells me so I'll believe them.
No, that's my wife too. She only likes the non-frosted strawberry.
I like both,
weird.
but
I would think that
one is significantly better.
Unfrosted blueberry is probably like the least favorite Pop-Tart flavor overall. I would have to guess.
Brooke likes that one.
Yeah.
Old man.
The unfrosted ones are fine, but they're just not as good. It's like there's just
I like
one
cookie dough.
It's like the difference between Mock Vice and Ms. Valentine's Day. Same kind of power. Yeah, I'm trying to.
So Luffy probably goes what? S'mores?
Is there a meat flavored one? Is there a cotton candy one too? There must be. I gotta look up Pop.
Actually, I think
flavors.
Chopper likes brown sugar cinnamon because sugar is in the title.
Yeah. Whose favorite food is chocolate? Was it Robin or Nami or somebody? Right. Somebody has like chocolate as one of their favorite foods. I thought one of the
orange flavored Pop-Tart.
Sounds like a Robin.
It sounds like a Robin thing. Yeah, Robin probably would dig the chocolate chip, maybe, or the.
You know which one I was most disappointed by? The brown sugar cinnamon, because I like all those things. It's just kind of like meh. Yeah,
that's like top 3 for
really?
sure.
I think it's okay.
Unlike the s'mores one, you kind of have to eat it hot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like s'mores you could eat any temperature, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, they had a fucking sugar cookie one the other day, and I was like, what's the point? Just get a sugar cookie.
What's on the inside of the Pop-Tart?
I mean, you could get all of these things in non-Pop-Tart form, and they're probably better, but...
Ooh, cinnamon
like
roll?
Not a pumpkin.
Wait, they have a Reese's
Pumpkin
peanut butter one, or just like it just looks like
Reese's for breakfast?
Not the candy, you fucking idiot. Reese's peanut butter puffs. Like how the commercial was.
Yeah.
They also have a unicorn one called Sparkalicious Cherry, and I don't know who would have that, but
sounds like it's got Pop Rocks in it.
I guess I know what I'm doing after this recording.
It's always a successful One Piece podcast when we get Steven to have really bad food after.
Yeah.
And we didn't even answer the question.
Sure we did. We answered the Hot Pocket question. We just made up the Pop-Tart question.
We did just make that one up.
Next question comes from True Rowdy Boy, who says, "Hi guys, I'm new to listening to the podcast, and I've basically only listened to the Reverie episodes and beyond. Well, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
I'm sure longtime fans already know this, but I'd love to know everyone's favorite character in One Piece."
Wow,
that's
good
tough.
one.
Let's do Straw Hat and non-Straw Hat, and I'm sure we've answered this a bunch, but it's always different every time it's asked, I think. Alex, go ahead.
Favorite Straw Hat, Zoro. Favorite non-Straw Hat, Django.
Sam.
Favorite Straw Hat, Luffy. Favorite non-Straw Hat, Carrot.
Ed.
Favorite Straw Hat, Zoro. Favorite non-Straw Hat, Jinbei.
Hey, come on. He's a Straw Hat now. You got to choose.
It's true. It probably
give us one more, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case. Just in case he joins the Straw Hats.
Just in case the Viva card was printed completely wrong.
Crocodile, actually. He was my favorite villain.
Favorite Straw Hat, Luffy. Favorite non-Straw Hat is always a difficult question, but I really like Kuzan. Yeah. He's fun and mysterious.
Just like this podcast.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Next one is.
Wait. Do we get Steve?
Oh, Steven and Sam. Sam went. Yeah, Steven.
Yeah, Sam went. My Luffy for sure, and then I don't know. I really don't have like I don't know, maybe like Fujitora or something.
That was my runner-up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I love that power, and he's such a fun, stupid character.
Yeah.
And serious too sometimes. Anyway, good principles, good man. Ed.
All right. Next one comes from Scandoza, who says, "This is actually the last question."
Scandoza.
I'm rewatching the Sabaody arc, and is it just me, or did Dragon try and poach his son's crew, or was he just using Kuma to try and get into Robin's pants?
Ooh. Sounds like an SBS question.
Come again?
No, don't, please.
Well, I guess, I wonder who told Kuma where to send all the Straw Hats. Like, how did he decide on that?
I think they said he had a conversation with someone, or he knew. I don't know. Kuma must have just figured out, hey,
I thought he was working on his own.
Yeah, maybe.
That was his own idea.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, why send Luffy to Amazon Lily if you think about it?
Because nice. That's why.
Best explanation I could think of.
Because we had to leave Amazon Lily before Oda's daughter went back to school.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
That sounds like an Oda answer to that question. That's the last one, right?
Yeah, that was the last one, yeah.
Short piece together this week. We'll return to our Pop-Tart discussion next week. But until then, let's round off. This has been the One Piece Podcast 554 for January 28th, 2019. Great show today, you guys. Thank you, Steven, for, again, taking the helm with our volume recaps this week.
That was my pleasure.
Yeah, and I guess the next one of these we do will probably be the 5th volume of the magazine, I'm guessing, next time it's off.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, that did just come out this week. I have yet to pick mine up. I think Alex said he got his today.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can in a week, but yeah.
I can tell you some cool things that are in it.
Please, let's do that now.
So all the male members of the Charlotte family have been listed with sketches from Oda, including a full picture of Snack, which is cool because he's normally obscured. It's nothing too special. There's a fun what if drawing because Oda's been doing these in the front of the magazine covers where he shows the progress of a illustration and an illustration, and this is a what if Sabo, Luffy, and Ace were Marines, and they're being chased by Garp with 2 katanas. Let's see. There's a couple cosplay things in here. This looks like an interview with, I believe that's Hattori, the former editor of One Piece, playing World Seeker. The next part of the law novel is in here. The in Sanji's Mugiwara kitchen, it's 3 different types of sushi rolls, like hand rolls, which is really great. Unless they're and how to make, looks like gyoza as well, or deep fried gyoza.
Ooh, that's cool.
The weird cross section they do of the One Piece creatures is the dragon from Punk Hazard this time, which is very neat. And there's some fun, like puzzles for kids, where looks like it's some sort of a maze thing where you have to go through Enies Lobby, and then there's a zombie game. There's a lot of fun stuff in here. A chopper papercraft that you can cut out and put together, or punch out and put together.
It sounds like things you'd find at a placemat at a One Piece diner.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about the One Piece magazine is that there's plenty to do for One Piece fans of all ages. And just like the other One Piece magazines, this one comes with a wanted poster that you can take out, but this time it's of Zoro.
Nice. So these are coming out quarterly now. So volume 6, do we have a date for when that comes out? I guess it would be sometime in the spring.
I would guess.
Yeah, there's an ad in the magazine itself. I have not seen anything.
Yeah.
I would guess probably my guess would be April-ish.
Yeah. So we'll also look forward to that sometime in the spring. So beyond that, we'll also have our normal manga recap next week. Normal anime. Well, we already had an anime recap this week too. Thank you, Sam, for that. Sam, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw. They can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, Black Clover, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind. And they can find me on the One Piece podcast every week doing the anime recaps.
Alex, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at dude! All one word. You can listen to me weekly on Toho Yaro, a Japanese film club podcast, and by weekly I meant monthly. Our last episode came out pretty late. It was the Yellow Handkerchief. Our next episode should come out. It's probably not going to be for another few weeks, but it is the Lone Wolf and Cub movie, the first one.
Ooh.
And yes.
Yeah.
And of course, you can find my my Twitter shitpost account, Weeb Simpsons, on Twitter as well. So check that out if you can. And please go to superartfight.com/merch and buy the card game that I helped work on, Cute Animals on Fire. It's really fun, and you don't need to be an artist to play the game.
Steven.
You may follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus. And just to reiterate what we went over at the start of the show, you can now follow my work on One Piece for free from either the Shonen Jump app or the Manga Plus app, depending on where you live in the world. So
For
go check it
free.
out.
And it's
free.
expertly translated by our expert, Steven, who's an expert.
That's me.
Ed, where can people find us?
Well, I am at Edward E. One Piece on Twitter. I'm also at Weeb Trailers on Twitter. You can check out some of the old weird anime trailers I find on DVDs. And you are Zach_Logan on Twitter. Podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. Please support us. Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Our subreddit is r/OnePiecePodcast. You can leave us some piece together there. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Zach? Or call us on our phone number.
Yeah, that phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
Please.
For God's sake. With your questions, your comments, your theories, and your dating profiles for what's morally. Yeah, please send those as well. And again, I want to apologize that our Patreon has been a little slow. I have been in the process of moving. I will be done with that process this week. So I hope to have some stuff for you guys ready over the last few days of this week or this weekend. For the Patreon at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. I have a lot of really cool stuff in the pipeline, so I hope to get that out for you. But before we leave today, we have trivia. I did not forget, but this should be a little bit shorter than usual. So that's good. So this week on trivia, we are going to go through the characters you hate the most. And you don't even love to hate them. You hate to hate them. And no, you don't hate to hate them, but you do hate them. They are the Celestial Dragons. All you have to do, name the named
Have we not
dragons.
done this before?
I don't know. So we're going to go through those. There's not that many. The ones that have been named, whether they are alive or not, whether they are still a Celestial Dragon or not. If you haven't played this game before, which I know everyone here has, but if you're playing at home somehow, all you have to do is guess the characters in this category, and you're out if you name the same character someone else said, if you name someone not in the category, or if you can't name one on time. So you guys ready? We're gonna go. Sure. I should pick an order. Let's start with Ed, and then we'll do Alex, Steven, and Sam. So Ed, go ahead.
Don Quixote Rocinante.
Alex.
Don Quixote Miosgard.
Still makes no sense why he's Don Quixote as far as I'm concerned. Steven.
Don Quixote do Flamingo.
And Sam.
Don Quixote homing.
Ed.
That's
sorry.
it. That's all of them.
No, that's not all of them. Ed.
Shalria.
Yep. Alex.
Rosward.
Yep. Steven.
Charlos.
Yep. Sam.
Shoot.
There's only one left.
Right. Like I know who it is. I just don't know. Remember.
I mean,
what his
there's
name
one
is.
canon one left.
Right. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know. Don't remember his name.
Sam's out. Ed.
Is his name Chalmac?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like that's an Ewok name, by the way.
100%.
That's the name of an Ewok.
Chalmac.
So you guys obviously know your Celestial Dragons. So there's still one that's non-canon, and then there are 7 that are not named. If you could describe them, I will give you the point. Alex.
Describe them?
Either to describe them or name the one that's not completely canon.
Okay, well, God, how to describe a Celestial Dragon? Well, just really nasty and sort of devoid of any sort of emotion whatsoever.
That's not really what I meant, but go ahead.
I see. Well, let's see. Shanks. Shanks is a Celestial Dragon. How about that?
I can't say you're wrong.
You can't say you're right.
Well,
Well,
how about this? Sure, I'm out now, but you know what? In 5 years, when we find out that he's a Celestial Dragon, you owe me a Taiyaki.
You know what? Deal. Steven, do you have one?
There's a guy with a mustache and a Gorbachev mark on his head.
Yeah, that's one. Ed.
It's a blonde fellow with a beard.
There is.
Oh,
Alex.
wait. We're,
Alex is
shit.
out. Steven, you're out.
No,
Steven.
wait.
Alex, I mean.
The 5 Elders?
What? I didn't say
no.
anything. Steven?
I thought you said Celestial Dragon.
I did.
Guy who looks like Gandhi.
Ed? I'm sorry. I keep saying that.
Oh, I fucked up.
Fellow with a very long beard.
Steven?
Oh, boy. I can't remember the last one, so I'm just going to go on a limb. I'll say Emu.
No, there are two others that you could describe besides the.
I thought that was the one that you were saying was not confirmed or canon or something.
No, there's one that's in a movie.
Oh, I would not.
Film Gold?
Yeah, do you know his name?
No, I don't.
I mean, Ed, you win anyway. The other two that you could describe are Don Quixote's wife, or Doflamingo's mother, who is shown, and Miosgard's father, who is the most hideous human being in the entire universe. Which, if you just said that, I mean, really,
what about Usopp in disguise from Film Gold? Is that?
I would have taken that.
Oh, damn it!
In the second round, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ed wins the Taiyaki this week, and maybe in 10 years, Alex will get some Taiyaki. But we'll find that out later. So that's going to do it for the One Piece podcast. I am excited to see you all next week with a new chapter, and hopefully we won't be off the following week. But my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.